And I just pressed record. All righty, folks. Just a couple more seconds and we'll get started. Some movement. Okie doke, let's get moving here. Hi, everybody at Hanover Research. My name is Marcus Wadsworth. I'm here representing both OnceUpona.com as well as I am the owner of Ancient Method Fitness. Thank you for joining me for flexibility and mobility and basically stuff we want to do to unwork all the muscle imbalances and repetitive stress that we have created from staying in the same position all the time with our devices. Or if you're anything like me who has a permanent groove in the couch, which is not great for our posture or how we drive or how we sit off kilter, how we sleep. So we want to be able to work those things out so we can move more fluidly through life. Okay, so without further ado, what we want to start out with is, gosh, our wrists, those things that we always work with on our keyboards, and some of you may have carpal tunnel. So to the degree in which you're able, you're going to have kind of a Frankenstein or the Wolfman, or the mummy pose here. And we're going to do wrist rotations. We're going to have our hands in front of us, and we're going to do a rotation. So we're just going to go to one side, pulling our hands towards us at the full extent of your wrist. And then we're going to have our palms forward. And then to the opposite side, palms coming towards me. Now let's change direction. And we want these to be very deliberate, strong movements in our rotation. So we don't want it to be loosey-goosey, that kind of thing. We want it to be that you're flexing those muscles within your forearms, the radialis and brachialis. Those are the two major forearm muscles. And so we want to get a couple more of these rotations. Because what will happen when we have repetitive stress, that's when you do the same thing over and over, those muscles get used to that repetitive stress and they get tensed all the time when they shouldn't even be tensed. And we'll discuss, and that's the case throughout our bodies, especially necks, shoulders, lower back, and knees and hips. Gosh, everywhere we move. All right, so going on to a larger scale within our body, we're going to have our hands extended once again, but we're going to use more of the body here. Actually, let me adjust the camera properly. We're going to have our hands in front of us, and we're going to rotate. Our left hand will be up in the sky, and I'm going to adjust the camera once again and use our right arm and our right leg as leverage to look up at our hand, and we're pushing off of our left hand, and we're pushing off against the right. And this is called the Rishi's posture. Okay, just making sure, see if we got any messages. Okay, excellent. So let's do that again with the other side, and we'll come down with our left hand, using our left leg as leverage to push up and have a twisting motion and looking up at our right hand. And we're going to do this for a couple seconds. And now we come up. So this is a rotational move to help with our latissimus dorsi, as well as our spine, the erector spinae. So basically our back. Okay. Again, we're going to go to the left side. So our hands come out. We're looking to our left side. Our left arm comes out. We're pushing against our right hand, or excuse me, our right leg with our right hand and looking upwards. And please let me know in the message box if you have any questions, need me to adjust the camera in any way. And we're coming up, and forgive me for my head, but I just want to make sure you get the proper position from the location of my body. Here we go on the other side, looking up on our right side, looking up at our right hand, pushing against our left leg, inside of our left leg with our left arm. And make sure that you're breathing regularly here. because that's going to enable you to actually have the full maximum twist, stretch, or extension, whatever it may be, when you have a certain degree of relaxation with your respiratory system and just breathing clearly and fully. Okay. Now, this is an exercise, the Trikonasana, as it's known in yoga, but it's something you all did in PE or sports or whatever it may be. It's our triangle. Let's bring our hands out to each parallel to the ground, and your feet just outside the width of your shoulders. So just a slightly wide stance. And very simply, we're just going to go to one side. Now we're working in what is called the frontal plane. This means that there is an imaginary wall in front of me and behind me. So I can't lean forward or backward. Let's come up and we'll go to the other side. I like to have my palm of the side I'm going, the other side I'm going to, I like to have that lifted towards the ceiling and the other palm going downwards. It's a slight detail. But again, with the frontal plane, I'm just working within the boundaries of the kind of the jumping jack area. And another plane that we'll be talking about is the sagittal plane, which is where there's a hallway on either side, and you can only do the running motions, and we'll get to that. So let's go to our last side. Leaning to the right, you're not leaning forward or backward. Our hand is extended. Your shoulders directly, head is directly in the middle of the shoulders, and you want to pull right here, right on the obliques, which is your side abs. And coming up, beautiful, my friends. Okay. Our next exercise, simple balance posture. I say simple. Nothing is all that simple, but everything is simple. What we're going to do is there's several progressions or modifications you can do according to your skill level. So typically, if I'm going to go I need to balance on one leg, I'm just going to hold one leg out or just one leg is up. We can do that. You can also, there's a couple variations and stuff like this. We don't need to worry about that today. We're just going to stand on one foot. And if you have any difficulty with standing on one foot, you can always use something to provide a little stability to spot you. And then you'll find eventually that on that one foot, you'll become a little bit relaxed and be able to be more stable on that one foot. So everybody get off your desks or get off your seats. And let's just stand on one foot. And we're going to do that for about 30 seconds and adjust as necessary. If you have to reset, no big deal. And if you want to go further, you can bring your hands up. And you can also grab the foot. Excellent, excellent. So to keep it on my face, just know that you're going to stand on one foot. Okay, let's change foots. Let's change feet. Let's change foots. All right. And so I am standing on one foot, and you can also do these types of movements if you have good balance on one leg, and you'll notice that one leg sometimes will have a substantially better balance, and that's very typical because we're all built differently. Okay, relax. Let's start on our next, the original foot for our balance, and we're standing on one foot. And again, if there is something you need to hold on to, that's just fine. And as we get older, I think we all know someone, or as they get older, falling is the biggest issue facing senior citizens. And so this is something I focus on greatly with my clients, especially those who are senior citizens, is working on balance and one foot balance, because falling is bad news. Okay, finally, on our last foot, our second repetition, I have my right foot up. I'm holding onto it. Whoa, and I had to reset and bounce. I'm sure there's a lot of bouncing on one leg going on in your offices. Great job, folks. And that's that for our balance for now. Okay, so raise your hand if there's back pain out there, or back pain in the morning, or I'm sure there are some hands raised. I'm one of them. So what we want to do is the good old-fashioned back stretch. This can be done several ways. I prefer, well, I like to do a whole array of back stretches, but one that is particularly effective, that's a one-stop shot for all of your posterior kinetic chain. That just means the part of your body that moves in the back. Posterior kinetic is energy and chain is, well, things put together. So what we're going to do here, making sure that my camera is appropriate, we are sitting up straight on and flat. With our legs flat in front of us. One important detail is engaging the feet. My back is straight in what we call a staff pose, and I'm engaging my feet and pulling my toes towards my knee. This is strengthening or flexing my tibialis and my gastrocnemius, meaning my calf muscles, both front and behind. And what that does is that engages the whole posterior kinetic chain. And so as I move forward to try and touch my toes, you don't have to touch your toes. Don't bend your legs to try and get to the arbitrary goal of touching your toes. What we want is just to move forward and stretch our backs and the back of our legs, engaging the feet and leaning forward. Don't bend your legs to try and arbitrarily touch the toes. I can't tell you how many people will go like this just to touch your toes. That's not the point. The point is to stretch. And so this is also known in yoga as the Paschimotto asana. You can repeat that quickly. But what we're doing is just getting that back stretch. And eventually we want to get to a flexibility like so, but don't worry about that. If you're just like this, it's fine. But we want to keep those legs engaged. That's the most important part. And you do want to keep your navel to your spine. I'm talking a lot right now about the position because there's a lot of details in what would be originally or perceived as somewhat of a simple position. Great job, folks. And I hope we were doing that whole time, that back stretch, because a good 30 seconds in the back stretch is what we're looking for. Okay. Now, if we're at let's go ahead and sit at our desks. You don't have to. We can be in a standing position as well. But we're going to stretch our chest a little bit here. So you can be sitting or you can be standing. I'm going to prefer to stand just to keep the camera up right here. And so this will be a bust exercise, our chest and upper body. And if there's anyone who has shoulder issues, this is extremely helpful. And so we're going to, again, extend our hands in front of us like we did with the Rishi's posture originally, and we're going to bring our hands behind us. If you have good flexibility, you can get your palms facing outward. If not, our palms can face inward. What we're looking for now is just to lift up your hands behind you as your fingers are interlaced, and just pulling up, and it's going to flex your shoulders, the scapula, your triceps, and your trapezius. And so we're just pulling up, but you want to keep your back straight. Don't lean forward. We're going to do that soon. But right now, we're just stretching our chest muscles, deltoids, which is our shoulder, and let's release. And make sure you're breathing during all of these exercises. I can't repeat that enough. Okay, let's do it again. Our hands are extended in front of us, the bust exercise. You can have let's try to get our fingers interlaced. For the more advanced students, our palms can be facing outwards. For beginners, we can have our hands, our palms facing each other. I do prefer to have the fingers interlaced for stability. And now let's pull our arms up, away from your waist, away from your butt. Looking up, you're going to feel a stretch right there in the chest and your trapezius muscles up here and up here. Great job. That's a bust exercise. Excellent. Okay. Now, as we're working our upper body here and trying to work out the kinks in the shoulders and the neck and everything, so let's work on the neck a little bit. It can be done on the floor. But because we're talking about stuff we can do at the desk and everything and requires minimal movement, I'm going to use my faux desk here. All righty. So very simply, My elbows are going to be like so. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 4 fingers from each hand and pull down and bringing my chin to my chest. And obviously, you don't want to do this quickly. You want to do this gently and get prepared for gravel sounds and little pops. And that's absolutely normal. And as long as it doesn't hurt, it's nothing to be concerned about. In fact, it's a good thing. And so let's pull our chin to our chest and make sure you're breathing. This can interrupt your breathing a little bit, so you have to have more of a deliberate breath. Excellent, my friends. Now, as we are doing the quote unquote head twist, be very gentle with yourself. I'm going to have my palm on my chin, and I'm going to be pulling my head down, elbows on the table, and very gently keep your chin clenched so you're not shaking up your jawbone in the mandible here. And we're just going to twist our head very gently. Okay. And obviously now we want to switch sides. Yep, there's some pops. There's some gravel on my side. And keep your jaw clenched, as you can hear with my teeth. Don't grind your teeth, of course. But you just don't want to just slide your jaw up because that can cause injury. And relax, because the name of the game here is preventing injury. Excellent, my friends. Okay. Now, as we work further down the body, if we have a table near us, and what we're going to do here is let's work a little bit on the lower back, our glutes. So one of the biggest things that I see with my clients, and just one of the most common things as far as pain for people who work in offices, is the lower back pain. I have suffered it for years, and it took me quite a long time using these exercises to mitigate it. So, but the lower back, the lower erector spinae tends to be a real bad place. It can be in the center, either side. But what we're going to do now is a standing locust position. And so very basically, and hopefully I can get enough contrast here, we want a straight leg. Keep your back straight and just one leg. And we're going to bring up our leg. Try to keep your leg straight without bending forward like so. And we're going to do this 10 repetitions. And so this is going to work your gluteus maximus as well as your lower lower back, the latissimus dorsi. Okay. And so let's do 10 and try, if you can look at yourself on your camera as well, try to keep your back nice and straight, because that's important, because that's going to get the resistance acting in the lower back as it connects with your glutes. So let's do this 10 times. 3, 4. I'm using my left hand to stabilize myself on the table here. 7. Oh, I'm straighten the leg. I was bending my leg. It's easy to get lazy with this. And 10. Excellent. Okay. And let's switch legs. Standing locust position. I say standing locust. You can also do this on the ground. But if you're at your office, maybe you don't want to be lying face down on the ground during lunch break. And that's number 2. 3. Keep your back straight. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Excellent. Okay. And to the same effect, what we're doing is working on our glutes, we're working on our hamstrings, but now we want to add a little knee stretch to that. Raise your hand if any knee pain out there. And very similarly, I'm going to bring the camera down so we can really see what's going on with the knee stretch. But we're going to balance yourself here. So if you don't want to balance, that's fine as well if you want to do an extra challenge. But what I'm trying to do here is get this movement. So I'm lifting my foot up and getting a quadricep stretch and a knee stretch, as well as my lower back is being affected. And there's some movement on our upper body. So just a very simple movement. And this is going to create a lot of flexibility in the knee. And two more. Very good. Okay. And now the other leg, 10 repetitions. Now, if you can't grab onto your foot, try to get this motion. Now, this will be more difficult to do that motion without the hand. You could possibly have some cramping in the quadricep, in your hamstring. When you have cramping, release the position immediately. Get some water, because sometimes cramps can be just way worse than we perceive them to be as well. Okay, so let's do the, and this is called a bow. And we'll do 10 repetitions here. And it's a bow for obvious reasons, kind of mimicking a bow and arrow here. 7, 8, 9, 10. Excellent. Great job, folks. Okay. All righty. Now, I've been harping a bit on the breath, and it's an important aspect of it. And in any yoga class, and we're not doing yoga now, but there's a lot of what we're doing that is yoga. And obviously, the breathing is an essential part of everything we do in life. You can live 30 days without food, 2.5 without water, not more than 5 minutes without air. So we also want to focus on breathing, but we're here for mobility, right? So as well as flexibility. So we combine the two. This will be a pranayama, a standing breath. So what I'd like you to do, we're going to get up on our tippy toes and bring our hands up. And you're going to inhale completely. Completely. Fill your lungs completely up. We hyperventilate all day, every day. And now we'll exhale completely, completely. You collapse your spine over the diaphragm. One of the few times we actually curve our back. And I'm overemphasizing my exhalation. Okay, we're going to do a couple repetitions of that. So there's a neat scientific fact. The only way we lose mass, the body loses mass, loses fat mass, is through the exhalation of carbon dioxide. Every day, all we breathe like, but when we fill our lungs to absolute capacity and expel it all, it's a different story. Some of you people may have at your desk the little motivational little stickers or hints of, if you're feeling overstressed, take a breath and hold it in for 10. It's the same principle and it works. Okay, the pranayama, standing pranayama. I talk too much. Let's breathe in. Come up with your tippy toes. Hold. Get it all out. And inhaling slowly. Keep your back nice and straight. We're working on your shoulders and back and legs as well. One more. Aren't we all feeling so much better? I know I am. Excellent. Okay, so the many things that bother us, especially as we get older, especially as we work at a desk for 8+ hours a day. I spent 2 decades at a desk. And so the hip flexors, the glutes, the lower back, these are a problem area for so many people. So let's work out that area of our hip flexors. What does that mean? Everything about our hips is that creates the dynamic movement of the fulcrum of the body, the hips. And there's a heck of a lot of muscles and nerves and tendons that are at work here. But what we're going to do here is to work the abs, lower back and butt, and our stability. We're going to do the circular motion. Hands on hips, leaning forward. Let's try and keep our back as straight as possible. Obviously, leaning forward will be the easiest or the fullest extension. And we're going to rotate to the side. And again, we're not leaning forward or backward, except for with that rotation. So let's go to the left first, and you're leaning to the side. Hands are still on hips and leaning back. Keep your butt clenched, keep your legs straight. To the other side and forward. Keep going in the same direction. We're rotating to the side, my left side. And to the back. Clench your butt, keep your legs straight. In fact, flex your quads, flex your upper thighs, and then go to the other side. And forward. Change direction. And to the back. Remember, we're clenching our butt when we hit the back, because the tendency is to want to bend the knees, right? I bet some of you have done that. And I got a couple back pops there. And to the other side. And that's basically synovial fluid if your back is popping at all. And forward, of course. And again to the side. And to the back. Butt is clenched, legs are straight. And to the side. And you really you want to feel that tension. Not too much tension, but right at where your hip is bending, you want to feel that pulling right there. And that's also really important. Both males and females, we also suffer from love handles as we get older. So this is a really nice exercise just for cutting down the middle as well. So, and that's a nice segue to our next exercise, the good old Nitambasana, or side bend. And so same deal, because we all like that a trim waist, and these are waist exercises as well as working on our lumbar spine, which is the culprit in so many problems. Muscle imbalance is just what happens so much to all of us, is that the glutes, which is one of the largest muscle groups of the body, tend to get lazy, a lazy ass, excuse my language, and they divert the work to the calves, the hamstrings, the lower back, and they kind of just distribute that work. And what happens is that creates the muscle imbalances. And so what we want to do is activate the glutes, activate the abs to get them doing what they're supposed to be doing. So let's get our arms up, straight up. And again, we're going to be working in the frontal plane, meaning we're just going from side to side. And what we do want, though, with our body is a nice, strong posture. So you're not standing loosey-goosey like a wet noodle. We're standing strong like a mountain. And so let's go to one side. You'll notice that my head is in between my shoulders. My head wants to lean, but I'm actually using my neck muscles to keep it in between my shoulders, and as well as my arms being parallel. And let's come up in the middle, and we're going to be using our abdominals to bring you up to the middle. Your obliques, that is. And to the other side. Try to keep your chin shooting forward and not leaning your head forward or backward. Keeping our arms nice and straight, and you're breathing. And these side-to-side movements are tough to breathe in. I know it. And that's why I emphasize the breathing. Good job. We'll do one more set. Oof, I like to shake it out a bit. You can do the same. All right, my friends, let's get our hands up in the air and to one side. Make sure you're breathing here. It's difficult to breathe in the side-to-side movements. And coming up, slight pause in the middle. Our arms are up and to the other side, and we're breathing. We keep that nice, strong structure, not leaning forward, not leaning backward. Head is in between the shoulders. Beautiful, my friends. And coming up in the middle. I held my breath a little bit there. I'm sure you did as well. So that's important to remember. That's why I am a broken record about the breathing. It's because the tendency is always to hold your breath. So we meaningfully and deliberately and mindfully need to breathe while doing these exercises, especially the side to side, because the lungs just don't want to do it. Okay. All righty. And as I indicated previously about activating the glutes, making our body do what it's supposed to do and not having other muscles compensate for major muscle groups like the glutes. Okay. And so what happens a lot is the lower back does the work of the glutes. So what we're going to do, and what happens is the tension builds up in the lower back and the muscle gets tight. And even when it's not working, it stays tight and flexed, and that's what can cause pain. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we already did a back stretch while sitting on the floor. Now we're going to do a back stretch and lean forward. Try to keep your back straight. Try not to round. Try to keep your back straight. And we're going to clasp our hands behind underneath our butt or further down if you can. But the whole range of having your hands behind your back, and I rounded my back there, but I'm just trying to get my hand there, and leaning forward so we can create the tension of pulling against our legs to get the legs stretched. So now I'm stretching my posterior kinetic chain all the way from my shoulders to my calves. Now, there is going to be some curvature to the back. Don't get me wrong. And coming up, but we want to somewhat avoid it. And so be purposeful about keeping our spine straight. And we will do another leg clasp. And of course, just like with all of these exercises, there are progressions to where you can go to the fullest extent of the body stretch and to the least. And wherever you are in that range, it's okay. This is not a competition. Like I was talking about before, touching your toes. The goal is not to touch your toes. The goal is to stretch. And the toes is just an arbitrary point that we get to. So let's do our leg clasp again. And I'm clasping my legs, try and keep my back straight. And we're just leaning forward and using our leg clasp to pull our torso towards our legs. And you don't have to get this amount of extension. Typically will be around here. And if your hands can't touch, that's okay too. What we want is that leaning forward motion. The clasping secures it and creates that resistance where you can actually just pull, pull, pull. Okay, let's come up. And of course, we never want to, I take that back, pull, pull, pull. You never really want to force things, but we can actually get some additional stretch. Okay, excellent. Okay, let's sit in our desks. So if anyone's back or shoulder hurts during the day, and a lot of us will do this just randomly, sitting at our desks. When you do this kind of thing, right? I'm like, and that wakes you up. You're like, oh gosh, that feels so much better. Okay, let's be deliberate about it. We're going to interlace our fingers behind our head. And again, we're going to just go to one side in our frontal plane movement. So we're just going to one side. And I want to keep that interlacing of my fingers because that's pulling up this area of my lats and my obliques, the side and back of my body, and that's going to stretch that out. Now we're going to come up, and this elbow here, which is my left elbow, I'm going to bring it to my knee. And so we're coming across. So this movement will be, I go to my left side, and my left elbow dips down, and then I come up, And then my left elbow goes to my knee. My knee does not go to my elbow. And we come up and to the right side. And we don't want to lean forward or backward. Don't lean forward. You're not likely to lean backward, but don't lean forward until we come back up and then rotate that right knee going to the left, right elbow to the left knee. And make sure you breathe coming up. And this is just the simple elbow to knee. And we're going to our left side. And you're breathing. And come up and left elbow to right knee. And coming up, right to your right side, right elbow goes down. And up, and right elbow to left knee. And earbud falls out. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Personal fave, our Ardha Matsyendrasana, or the simple twist. There's a couple ways we can do it. I'm just going to illustrate a couple, but I want to just practice the easiest one for us. And we do this. This is something we all do. Can we get a good shot? We have a good shot. Okay. And so what I'm doing, I'm bringing one leg over the other. A little more distance will help. I'm going to bring the outside of my left arm to the outside of my right knee. And I'm creating a twisting motion. Keep your back straight. Try not to lean forward. Don't twist too far. Do what you're capable of doing. And we're just going to push against that knee, the right knee with our left elbow. And we're going to look behind us. And this will be a little bit of a longer duration. I enjoy this quite a bit. And you really want to feel on your hip as well, the pulling on your gluteus medius, meaning your hip. Okay, let's change sides. Great job, my friends. Leg over the other, left leg is over the right leg is extended. My right elbow is creating resistance against my right, left, had to check on that, left knee, and creating the twist. We're looking behind us and our back is straight. And you're breathing. Again, it's one of those things where the breathing becomes difficult. So we're mindfully breathing during the exercise. Excellent. Quite good, my friends. Are we feeling nice and loose out there? Go ahead and put in the chat box and tell me. Okay. All righty. Okay. So I mentioned the gluteus medius, and hips are often a problem, especially as we get older. I know I've had some issues with the hips. So let's just get some bar class or ballet going on here for anyone who's done that kind of stuff. But basically what we're going to do is, again, we're moving in our frontal plane, going to have some stability here. So find something to hold on to. And all we're going to do is bring our leg out. I'm starting with my right leg, and we're going to do 10 repetitions. Keep your legs straight. Keep your back straight. And this is also nice for those folks who want to work on the inner thigh, that can be difficult to keep toned. This is also good for the adductors, adductors, which is how your legs come in from this position. So let's do 10 repetitions. Try to keep your body steady and isolate the movement. See, I'm trying not to let my body move at all, except for the hip going horizontally. And 10. Excellent. Changing sides. Also, while you're doing this, try to flex your quadriceps. That's going to maintain that straightness of the leg while toning the leg. 2, 3, 4. I'm showing off and not using some stability here. So, nanny boo boo. 6, 7, 8. Ooh, but when I do that, I have to bend my leg a little bit. So it is good to have that stability there. So learning all the time. Excellent. You had a couple pops in the back there. Okie doke. All righty. So previously we did a bust exercise, but now we're going to take it a step further with a chest expansion. Ardha Chakrasana would be a yogi term for it. And what we're going to do, we're going to bring our hands in front of us, and then behind us, we are going to, again, interlace our fingers. More progressed students, palms on the facing outward. Less so, palms can face in. If you don't have the fingers interlaced, that's okay. Try to get your hands together. But just behind you is fine. And what we're going to do first is look up and pull our hands away from our waist and breathe. As you can tell, it's hard to breathe here. And relax. And this is stretching out our chest, our anterior deltoids, front shoulders, your back. Those folks with shoulder issues, this is a really good exercise. Now we're going to take it another step. We're going to move forward. Again, our hands go in front of us, gracefully coming to the back. Just try to get your hands behind you, interlaced or not. And now we lean forward. Let me make sure my earbuds are secure. This type of thing loses the earbuds. And we're going to lean forward and let your hands hang over. Now, this is a drastic position. So if you're just like this, doesn't matter. As long as you're leaning forward and you have your hands lifted away from your waist and we're leaning forward. So let's go into that position to the best of your ability. Breathing. Excellent. Coming up. And let me just make sure we're on schedule. Okay, and we are. And one more time, we're going to be leaning back. Hands extended, coming back, behind us, looking up. Hands away from your waist. And you can't have a curvature of the back going backwards this time, because it increases the flexibility of the spine, all three parts, cervical, lumbar, and thoracic. And now we're gonna, let's release the arms. Hands in front of us, back is straight, behind our backs, interlace fingers if you can, leaning forward. And keep your legs straight, by the way. Don't bend your legs. And coming up. Excellent, my friends. Whew. Okay. Now, knees. Everyone knows someone who's had knee, meniscus, ACLs, whatever. Knees are tricky. A great exercise for strengthening the knee is what we call the dancer's posture. And so I'm going to pull back a little bit because this is truly a full body movement here. And so what we're going to do, we're going to have prayer hands on top of our head, on the top of your head. Palms together, feet together. And so this is kind of just a fancy schmancy squat, also known as a dancer's posture. I'm going to show you from my profile as well. And what we're going to do here, and again, you can go as low as you want or as low as you can. So you can get real deep with these, and your knees are going to want to come apart or separate and from each other. And then we're going to go down and come back up and get to our tippy toes. And we're going to do that 5 times. So prayer hands on top of our heads. And we're going to go into a squat with our knees together. As deep as you can go. You don't have to go far. I'm going to go deep. And then we come back up, tippy toes. Let's do this 5 times. That was 1. 2 tippy toes. And down. and up. 3. I'll finish the last 2 with a frontal position and tippy toes. So I'm on the balls of my feet the whole time, but you don't have to be. And up and tippy toes and gracefully coming down. Always want to make it look pretty. Okay. All righty. And our next one, nice and simple, a neck roll. And I don't need to talk to anybody about neck pain. We all get it. All right. So hands on hips, leaning for head comes forward, and then rotating to the side, to the back. Keep your jaw clenched. To the side. Here's where the gravel comes in. And forward. To the side. To the back. To the side. Forward. And of course, we're gentle on our neck, right? Okay. And reverse directions. To the side. To the back. To the side. And forward. To the side. To the back. To the side. And forward. Excellent. Okay. Shoulders and neck. Posture clasp, also known as a Gomukhasana. You can do this from a seated position or standing. Either way, they both have benefits, but for the purpose of our exercise, I'm going to stay standing. You can stay seated if you like. Do not force this. This is a scapular exercise. It's a shoulder exercise. It's a back exercise. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to put our backpack on. We're going to scrub our backs. And let me just show you. An extreme position is we're clasping our hands. Not necessary, okay? Don't force this. We're just going to, if this is all you can go, that's fine. This is fine. Just make that movement. Don't struggle with it. Don't force it, especially this one. We never force stretches and these types of things, but especially when it comes to the scapula and our back. So what we're going to do is try to keep a straight back, and we're going to bring these hands together or emulate that or try to bring them together like Michelangelo's David and God or Adam and God, if you know the Sistine Chapel. Okay, and so we're just going to just go into this position. If you can get your clasp, awesome. If not, we're going to get there someday. Keep your back straight, and we're just holding right there. A posture clasp. Let's change sides. Now, I'll tell you, this is where the imbalance will really be emphasized because you'll be able to do one side far better than the other. Don't worry. From my experience, it's about 100% people that have an imbalance on this flexibility. But we're going to the other side, and very likely you're going to hear a pop somewhere on this one. Raise your hands if you got a pop or gravel from this. But this is our Gomukhasana, our posture clasp. And so we're just hanging out here. Good job. And we're relaxing there. And we're going to do one more repetition on each side. Okay. And again, with your original side, posture clasp. Keep your chin up. Don't force it. A lot of people, they'll try to get there. No, just nice and relaxed. Because you'll get there eventually. Exercise is an act of graduation and progression and consistency. Never comes in one day. And let's change sides. You are doing so wonderfully. Your cameras aren't on, but I know that just because I just know. And we're on our last repetition. Beautiful. Okay. Excellent. Now, almost done here. And what I'd like to do now is just a couple ankle rotations. Just like we started with initially, we did wrist rotations. We'll do some ankle rotations. And just like the way it sounds, we're going to rotate the ankle. And so some nice tie-dye Vans here. And what you're going to do, now you can have your foot on a table, something like that, or on this, like so. So it's not difficult to get into the position because we're going to focus on the ankle here. And so strong leg. Let's do an internally rotate your ankle, meaning towards the inside, towards the medial point, your middle point. And so we're turning our ankle, rotating to the outside and then back to the center position, rotating inward, then get the dorsiflexion, meaning this stretching of the foot to the other side. And one more time. And keep your leg nice and strong so you're flexing your upper leg as well. It's not all that necessary, but if you're going to be engaging the leg, you might as well exercise it. Let's change sides. And now the left leg, ankle rotations. Just to show it off a little better, I'm going to put my leg up. And so internally rotate. So basically to the extent of your flexibility, so we'll do this 3 times, nice and slow and deliberate, getting the full range of motion on the ankle. Excellent. Good. And we want to end up flexing the calf, also known as the gastrocnemius, which the Romans named because gastrocnemius, the belly leg. Interesting fact. Okay. Last thing, last exercise. Wow, that flew by. Our knees. And so what we're going to do is get in kind of a crouching position here. Our hands over our knees with our thumbs going into the middle, right above our knees, right at the end of our quadriceps where they meet the knee. And we're going to rotate slowly. I'm going to the left first, full rotation. And be careful here because knees are tricky and weak just by nature. So that's 3 rotations. Let's do 5. Excellent. Let's change directions. Okay. My body got a little out of whack there. I want to keep our body somewhat stationary while we do that rotation of the knees. And that's it, my friends. So basically, we have worked out every joint in the body. And if we miss some, I've never heard of them. But that's today's mobility and flexibility. I hope it has been beneficial for you. It has for me. I got my stretches in for the day, thanks to you. I absolutely enjoyed it. My name is Marcus Wadsworth. I'm the owner of Ancient Method Fitness, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. Thanks, Justin. I appreciate you. And have a great Thursday. Be nice to each other. And send me an email or whatever if you want to work out further. And I'm also here representing onceupona.com. And so check them out as well. It's a big wellness company and they're fantastic. So thank you, Aaron, Justin, Michelle, Chris, Kiara, Luizini. Sorry about mispronouncing your name. I'm sure you get that all the time. Thank you so much, my friends. Have a great day.